had some good ones and I've had some shocking ones. And I was just thinking that today I had my final discussion with a company and said farewell to him. He's been very good, but I just thought, God, you never know what you're getting. It's like a lotto ticket.
Yes, yes. Well, let's start by if you tell us a wee bit about your business and what you do.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm Tracy Tully from tracytully.com, and my business is Motivation and Resilience for Wealth. I teach influential speaking. So I teach people how to master their fear in public speaking so that they can lift their profile, their presence, and their profit. So it's all about connecting to other people and communicating with them effectively so that they can build their client base, whether it doesn't matter what sort of business they are, whether they're one-on-one, solo, or corporate, or doesn't matter. So they might want to speak just for telephone conversations, or they might want to speak on a local stage, a national stage, or an international stage. And that's what I do. So I have courses to teach those three levels, and I also coach one-on-one and one-on-many.
So you're operating both in the online sphere and the personal live sphere as well.
Correct. Yes, I'm operating on both, and so I've started back in person again, and I'm just getting ready for my first workshop for the year.
Awesome, excellent. Well, that'll be a lot of fun. Actually,
Yes, it will be.
real people into a workshop rather than just Zoom screens.
Yes, I crave that now. I'm over the Zoom. It was very comfortable for a long time, and then it got very monotonous. Mm.
Yes, yes. So with your business, it's just you, or do you have staff, or how does it work?
Yeah. So I'm the founder, obviously, and CEO, but I do have staff. So I have currently two VAs, and I did have an Australian VA, which we've finished with. We were together for quite a few years, but it just got too costly, sadly. She was wonderful, but way too costly for me. And then I've had all remote workers in and around that. So I usually have two VAs at a time, one specifically to do technology, CRM, etc., and the other to do the Canva work and all the marketing and sales, etc. So that's what I've had in the past. I'm now down to one due to a tragic circumstance that happened recently, and I'm about to replace that person with another VA shortly. Mm.
All right. So that's interesting. Let's have a look at the one that didn't work out. Because I mean, obviously you've got some VAs that didn't work out. Just tell us about that experience and how that all happened and came about.
Yeah. So the one I've just cancelled my contract with started probably about 4 months ago with me, and started really well. Started with a big bang, and I did make it. I did make it very well known that I move very quickly, that they will need to go straight into funnels, into marketing, sales. They needed to be right over the top of WordPress and a CRM, and they needed to learn Drip. So I made all that clear. They were trained supposedly for 3 months to do that.
Who did the training?
Oh, a company overseas in the Philippines on behalf of a local Australian company.
Right. So you went through an agency
Yeah.
for this person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I went through an agency, and I liked what I heard here because they had health benefits. They had a university, which meant they had ongoing training, and I really liked that idea. And they also had the hours that I wanted to do, and they were to demonstrate initiative in certain programs. They were trained in everything I need. So the funnels, the use of bulk emails, etc., and it went on and on and on. And a lot of the platforms that I use, and there are, as we all know, a lot, they were trained in. So yeah, I needed that sort of person, and I did not want to waste my time. It's not a waste, but I'm very honest with myself. I am not tech savvy in any way. I'm not going to get there in a hurry. I am happy to learn, but it takes me a while. And so I specifically wanted a tech-savvy person. They went for the first month really well, very well. I spent a week doing an induction program with them, going through everything one-on-one. And then I said to them when it was time to move on and working with me with tasks, that if there was something they didn't know, they needed to speak to their supervisor. They needed to let me know. And if it was something with my website, then they needed to let you know as well. And so we had a process if things were difficult for this person. About after the first week, flying colours. They'd done their induction. We talked about boundaries. We had all our passwords safe in LastPass, and I'd set specific tasks to do in order. So they were supposed to do three scheduled posts on all my platforms. They were supposed to contact my guests from my radio stations to do all that work. And I had set tasks that were on repeat. So there's nothing should have been difficult in that. After the first month, I had a second monthly report, and the difference between the first monthly report and the second monthly report was quite distinct. So they're making big spelling errors. Their work had slowed right down. They're making a lot of mistakes. So the mistakes were so bad that every single link they did for me, both on my CRM and in all my marketing, none of them worked. And I was starting to get quite worried. So we went back, and I was doing a lot of problem solving and spending virtually my week training them on what they should have been probably training me. And that person's reluctance to seek help started showing up. And from there, it did the biggest nosedive. And then we started having huge absences, just rolling absences for work.
And you talked about those absences with me, and it was a little bit interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah. So what they did was and I'm going to be really honest, because this is for the purposes of other people. So they lied to me. So currently at that stage in the Philippines, I was informed by the supervisor and my VA that they were rebuilding the gateway, the internet fiber cable, and
Yep.
there would be intermittent disconnections. And so I was happy to run with that. I understood that had to happen. But what was happening was my VA was using this as a place to hide and telling me that they had no internet connection. So I was at a loss. I couldn't get hold of the supervisor to confirm, so I just kept going. Of course, that person was digging themselves into a deeper hole. Then just recently, then we had the typhoon. Now I have two VAs, and one only had the 1 day off due to internet disconnection, and advised me that they were back on board. But 3 weeks later, the second one still wasn't on board. I had been, reporting this all along. And so this particular VA was starting to lie quite a lot, telling me that their apartment had got wet and their computer was wet, but none of their emails were coming from a mobile phone. They're all coming from a machine. So I had started that process back in the internet absences, advising the supervisor and the business agents that I had been through that they were absent. They're on AWOL, literally.
Right. So, but it sounds like there were some signs there that you could see that it just wasn't quite matching up. And you're a non-tech sort of person as well. So how did that come about?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one was this person went from really good to the exact opposite very quickly. And so my alarm bells rang straight away there. So that was on the 6 to 8 week mark. Then when I had my regular Zoom meetings, he wasn't turning up for them at all. And I'd be constantly sending emails, where are you? And then when I would set him tasks, if I was with clients for days, which is what happens, set him tasks to do. So for the modules to learn WordPress, because I certainly got the feeling that he wasn't good enough with the WordPress, and he should have been. That he didn't do them, and so I was moving house over 2 weeks on my own, and I expected him to be an absolute whiz with these modules, and I'd set him those tasks to learn Drip, relearn Drip, and the modules for WordPress, and nothing had happened. So when I finally got him on Zoom, he said, "Oh, I didn't see them." So I opened up my machine. I said, "Well, you have seen them. What's happened?" So the lies started coming again. The other thing was the face. Doing the check-in on Zoom is really important, because he was hiding from the screen, so I'd only ever see the top of his head. When I did see his face, it was really swollen, really bloodshot. He was filthy dirty, so hair unkempt, not dressed well. And then it started really deteriorating, and he would start hiding back in the room on the Zoom and covering himself with a blanket. And I say, "Oh, look, is it really cold there?" It's, no, it's 38 degrees, but doing this strange behavior. So the spelling just went berserk, and the punctuation, becoming rude, so do it yourself. And obviously totally disconnected with reality. So watching those as well, and watching the difference between the way he spoke to me via print text on the emails, as well as how he spoke to me through Zoom.
Right. Okay. So that's your bad experience. So that'd be your worst experience, I would
Yep.
imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but it's not all like that. And I know a lot of people have poor experience with VAs, and there's two sides to that. One side is that the candidate themselves is a poor match, and are doing things like that. They've lied and sort of exaggerating what they can do. And the other side of the coin is the business owner who hires the VA,
Yep.
who is just doesn't know enough in terms of how to manage staff as well too. So there's a bit that happens on both
Yep.
sides, which is that's all just part of experience, isn't it?
It is
So,
certainly.
so yeah, I mean, and if I was to ask you, through that experience, what did you learn that would help you to do things differently when hiring next time?
So a couple of things. So that's was my fifth VA, and so basically, number one mistake I felt, which is a horrible thing to say for this person, is that I really gave them a very glowing report at the end of that first month, and I felt. And when I look back in it, if I was in a work site where that person was in the room next door, would I give that same report? No, the answer was actually no. So I overcompensated, I believe, because they're remote. And it's something I should know better. I've been in the workforce for 38 years, and I've managed staff of 85, 90 to 100 people. So I should have known better. But when I'd walk around the site, because they're always massive sites, I would be very effusive in my goodwill and speaking up people. But I think for these particular VAs, that little cultural difference probably, I don't know. I'm certainly not going to do it again. I'm going to try and keep a very even, great effort for doing this, and that's it. Minimize my effusiveness in terms of how I go, because I really believe that person sadly took that generosity of performance measurement and literally thought, I can actually slacken off because that. So yeah, that sadly would have to be something I would definitely change. Secondly, I gave them a week's induction, and I won't do that to the next one. It will be a month's induction, and I will take my time and give them, even though I only gave them one task a day and started with really small tasks, and I walked them through it, I would also back that up with a Loom video as well. So what I would do is get on Zoom with them. I'd share my screen, and then I'd show them what to do and how to do it. But I believe that was a big time waster for me. And maybe I was speaking too quickly, or maybe they couldn't understand me. I don't know. His speech went from very, very fluent to quite the opposite too. So I believe there was probably drugs involved there as well. So with that, I'd extend my induction to 4 weeks and literally go over again what I had expected the company to teach them. And then I would call out those gaps to the agent straight away. That's what I'll be doing next time, calling it out straight and being ruthless with it, sadly, quite ruthless with it. And that's something else I'd change. I know I have also learned in the past from one other VA who broke confidentiality. So I had explained very succinctly on the very first day that my intellectual property is precisely that. It is for nobody's information and never to be shared. And I'm aware of that because I've had other VAs that say, oh, I do this for my client, I do this, and I'll do it for you. And I'm just going, oh, that's not fair, that's not good. So I'm very, very, and I was very good with that too, with this particular person. And they have done the right thing by me because I was terrified they could play havoc with my website if they wished. So that would be another thing that I would extend and make sure that I was probably anal with that, like absolutely don't jump in and just go for it. Do it really slowly, no matter how difficult that is. My personality is, and I made it really clear to them that they'll move quickly and they'd have to be able to handle my pace. This particular supervisor said, yours is really slow, not like everyone else's. And I thought, well, you haven't follow my instructions, my brief, what I actually needed. So I'll be calling that loudly as well. The induction is really important. I would be, this other person was telling me that they were having meetings all the time, and every time we'd have a Zoom, they were typing and talking to someone else. So even though my boundaries were, you won't do that. When you're working with me, which is all day, you need to give me 100% when I'm talking to you via Zoom. So that's something that I hadn't anticipated in my induction. Now I've seen it, I won't do it again. So yeah, my induction is going to be quite big now, quite heavy duty. So with in Australia here, in big, large government organisations, I get them to sign off on everything, absolutely everything. I'll be bringing that in no different because it's remote. They'll be signing off everything. And so then I'll mark that in terms of, I'll do a really formal report then for my 1 monthly reports as well, which I didn't do last time. I picked up the good things and then I said spelling needs help, etc., etc. So there's some learnings, yeah.
So you're good VAs. Like that's your worst experience. Let's move on to your good experience. Tell us about your the VAs that you've got, the ones that have really excelled and have really helped you in your business, and what sort of help have they been? How have they impacted your business?
Oh, phenomenal! Absolutely phenomenal. I love them. And my Australian VA was fantastic. She was an executive VA. And costly, but she was my first one, and I felt I needed someone who would be teaching me as well, and she did. She taught me a lot, especially about security. She was a heavy hitter with security, and I spent a lot of time with that on using LastPass and teaching me the goes. She ran my second website, so I made my own websites, and then of course I came to you and I had grown out of my little babies, and so she just ran those for me, and she demonstrated the initiative to just go with whatever. She would go looking for things, and we'd have our plans all set, and she would just work on them, so I might not see or speak to her for a week, and she would show that initiative. My other lady in the Philippines currently now, the same, very, very good with initiative. So spending the time with them so they understand how you speak, how you write is critical so that they can do that, and getting them to double, triple check their spelling and pronunciation and all of that sort of thing as well. So I've had three really good VAs and one absolutely atrocious, and then one that failed to protect my my IP, and decided to speak to other VAs about my business, which didn't please me at all. So yeah, I've had some terrific ones showing the initiative, but also what I love about some of them too is that they'll make a loom for me and say, hey, Tracy, I was doing this and I learned this, thought you might like to learn it as well. And I love that. I really love that, especially when it comes to tech. So I'm just doing one now with my VA, care of information you've given me about using pop-ups. So I'm going to learn that as well. So I'm going to make myself learn. I also like the fact that these VAs will not overstep the mark of friendship versus work. If they take my lead in the way I speak, and they mirror that back to me, which is good, which is smart, and so they know when to have a joke with me and when not to. I like that. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a common theme coming through here, and that is initiative. So, people that are able to take initiative,
Yeah.
And sort of step outside of just doing stuff for you, and thinking about, oh, how could I, well, if I can think of another term, but how can I add value? That's not
Yeah.
what they're thinking, but like, what can I do that I can share that would be helpful? How do you I mean, those are really ideal traits. In fact, they're probably traits of entrepreneurs as well too. But how do you hire for that? How do you test for that when you meet people?
Oh, gee, I've been on Upwork, and I've had a lot of trouble hiring through Upwork because they are very reluctant to share anything with you. So you really don't know what you're getting, and then you look through their testimonials and whatnot, and you'll see there's nothing there, so that worries you. So I sort of went. That's why I went to the agency for the same reason, because Upwork really they weren't. And then when I said, "Oh, look, can you do me a quick draft post?" And they said, "No, that's you pay me for that." And so I thought, well, that's going to be attitude. In the hiring part, I can imagine what it's going to be like in 4 weeks' time. So trying to get them to demonstrate at least something to show what their a sense of approach is. The lovely girl that I've got in the Philippines now, she approached me through LinkedIn, and I'm very wary of that. And I just said to her, I'll give you 4 weeks trial, and this is what I want you to do, boom, 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 and that's it. If it doesn't work, and this is all I'll pay. She wanted to negotiate higher. I said, no, this is all I'll pay, and that's it. And if you want me, that's good. Well, that girl's really grown, and she's very keen. So she actually asked me. She could see something wasn't happening. She could see things were failing, but she's very polite. But she could see things weren't getting done when I had said, "Oh, this will be done. Do this as a follow-up." So she said, "I'd like to learn the WordPress and do that for you." So she started with me in lead generations. That's all I needed her for. And now today she's learning pop-ups, WordPress. So now to help her understand how I speak and write, I actually gave her a couple of tasks where she had to go and research key areas. So I do motivation, resilience, and I gave her some examples of links where she could go and find research. And then I asked her, but these are both of them, the Australian one and the Filipino one, to start doing some posts around them so I could watch how they were going. And then on Canva, I'd go back in and change them. Or I'd go, if they got excited and posted, I'd go back on the post and change them around. But giving them that freedom to do that a bit and have a go is really important too. Mm.
And from your perspective too, just giving them a go is probably a good test to see how good they're how far they're prepared to go in terms of doing that research and being able to deliver back the quality of work that you want.
That's right. And so the two failures I've had, and I hate to use that word, but one of them, I was heading off to Egypt, and I'd left all these tasks to do, and that particular person knew I was going out of the country and thought they'd take a holiday. So all these tasks weren't being done while I was away, and I was booking up a lot of clients. So I was up to 2 a.m. every morning trying to do that person's work. And when I came back, I said, what happened? You just weren't there. And there was no comment. So they decided to take a holiday thinking that I wasn't there. So yeah, it is a hard one. And so you have to allow them to show initiative. You have to promote it, but at the same time, keep checking on it.
So, systems and processes. You've obviously got some systems and processes in there for working and having your team work with you. Talk to me about the sorts of things that you have that help to keep people accountable, help to keep them on track, and help to keep your communication flow going.
Yeah. So my content planning that I send out at the beginning of the week, usually on the weekend prior. And if I'm really super organised, which I'm not, it might be the week before, but that's very rare. It ever happens. I usually do it but I work weekends too, so I have to be pretty strict with myself with that. So as far as content goes, I always make sure that the week before I'll say, look, I need X pictures of this. Can you jump into Canva, do them? I'll come back and look at them. They notify me as soon as they're done. I do go through and I say, yep. You missed out this. And then I'll make sure the content fits it and I'll let them go. And they do that through Schedule Once. Is that one? I knew you'd ask me all these names, wasn't it? Schedule Once, is it?
That's the calendar scheduling tool?
Yeah. So I've got lots and lots of these platforms that we use. I was using Slack, and I use Asana. I've used Trello to try and get that teamwork going. Because at one stage I had 3, and then of course one wobbled off the ladder, and and my Australian VA was constantly tearing her hair out, saying this person is not doing what you need to do, Tracy. I never ever let my VAs do anything with my finance ever. So they got no access to Stripe, etc. And I do that through you and your people. And I can imagine you've got really very tight procedures there in place. So what else have I got? So lots of different platforms. So for example, when I do my marketing and I'm on ClickFunnels, I follow those myself, and I get in there and I'll change them and fix them as well, which one of them didn't like at all. But I said, I didn't like this. It was not the message I wanted, et cetera. So, so it's being active in it as well. And you have to be, for me, I have to be, so I'm learning all the time too. So it got to the point where I was teaching my so-called tech VA what to do. So those good ones, there's a lot of different processes there. Having regular face-to-face Zooms. If they've found something in the week that they've learnt, they do a Loom video for me, so I learn as well, and they'll share that back. I make sure that must happen, because once again, I don't want to be in a position where I'm falling backwards in my knowledge. I need to always be ahead of it, and it's smart to learn from them as I go too. What other platform? Oh, I've got that many platforms. When I've employed my VAs, so the guy I had for tech, he couldn't do any video editing or anything like that. So the other girl I had, she did all that sort of thing too. So knowing their niche and what they do like to have a go at, and what they just don't have any interest in. What else? Checking all my radio stations. So I've got lots of different things there. I've probably got too many. I think I'm at the point now where I want to automate mega time and basically start doing that. So all those platforms, I probably need to sit down with someone like yourself and just say, can you audit what I've got and tell me what you think, where I can save money? So for example, Schedule Once was really good. And I needed to get rid of Hootsuite, because Hootsuite just seems to do its own thing whenever it feels like it. It's getting a little bit annoying. Does that help you?
Yeah. So, and have you got any favorite? Like, what would be your top favorite tools? If there was 3 tools that you would, you'd feel like your arm had been cut off if you didn't have them, what would they be?
My teleprompter program, Big VU, definitely. Big VU, I could not go without. And I highly recommend that to everyone, because a lot of people are very reluctant to film themselves. And the beauty of Big VU as a teleprompter act is that you type on the program what you want to speak, you set the speed, and then you click a button and it films you while you're speaking, and it is superb. And it looks just like you and I aren't reading anything, just like we are now, and it shares that, and it's very tidy, and then it takes the program straight to your YouTube site. So for me, YouTube, I haven't been on there long, because once again, the technology got me. I struggled with setting it all up, etc., and didn't know this and didn't know that, and all the coding and everything got to my head. And so I was a very late starter with YouTube, but I'm just about to smack it on the nose and get on it all the time with my Big VU as well. So the teleprompter program, that Big VU, is brilliant. I have a couple of other brilliant programs I love, and I'm just going to read through them as well. Obviously, a calendar program at QRT you can't do without them. I was using Bitly a lot to shorten the links, but then I started having a lot of trouble with Bitly, and I don't know if that was Facebook or what, but I'm staying away a little bit from Bitly. What else did I have? Well, obviously Canva. We can't go without Canva. And I'm using ClickFunnels for a short time until I'm really comfortable with making my own funnels and learning from there. Then I'll shut that down, and then I'll come to you and use your program you've got there for me, because I won't have to worry about the tech. I won't have to worry about the tech and everything else as well. So that's a big blessing. I can't wait for that. I don't think I'm too far away from that. I think next year I'll probably start there. Crowd Pleaser is a really good little quick app for people. So especially if you're speaking and you want to market yourself as a speaker, but it's, it can be in anything. So Nick, you would love to do a profile on crowdpleaser.com.au, and it's for if you're an expert in any field. You could be a doctor, dentist, a jockey, you name it, and people will hire you through crowdpleaser.com.au. Brilliant.
Awesome.
Profile there. Yeah.
All right.
Dropbox.
And Dropbox.
Yes.
Oh, so Dropbox, the file sharing, which you'd use with your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And WeTransfer as well.
Or WeTransfer, yeah. Okay. All right, so if you were to, like a lot of people I'm working with, are looking to either get their first VA, or they've already had a VA, possibly had a bad experience, maybe had a good experience, and they're looking to get their next VA. What sort of advice would you give someone who, or in the first instance, is looking to get their first VA?
Looking to get their first VA, okay. Make sure you know yourself that you're able to keep at the pace of providing the tasks for your VA. So when you've been working for yourself, you amble along at your own pace. VAs aren't like that. They're on the clock and they need tasks, boom, boom, boom. Otherwise, they're just going to sit around and not do anything, and you're paying for that. So you're going to have to be able to have good time management skills. You're going to have to be prepared, and you're going to have to be ahead of yourself at least a week in advance. And you're going to have to also be able to anticipate problems and issues that will happen. So for me, I could go to sleep one night with everything in place, everything double, triple checked, and then the next morning it's just all crashed and blown up in my face, and I've lost a whole campaign that has hit the email and whatnot. So just taking your time with those and double, triple checking a lot more than you possibly normally would to make sure those go out, and beta testing a lot too. Knowing that you understand what those people understand, so that you've got really clear tasks. And I always type mine out, and I literally every word, and then I'll put in red this picture goes here, right here, and this is what the picture has to look like, and get it from here. Making sure they know your hex codes for your branding colors, and making sure they know and understand what photos they can use of you and what they can't. So that's pretty important too. So you really have to know, and I would be seeking advice from someone like yourself who I don't know how many you've got employed, but I can imagine you've got quite a lot employed, and then you would be pretty much an expert of what to expect, what not to expect, because your pace would be extremely fast and like a bit of a pressure cooker. Because I know I've done a help. I know you're golfing, but please, what can I do? And you're there for me. So I love that. And that's what you promised me when we signed up. And that's why I went to you, because I knew that you understood my business was so precious to me, etc. And you respected that. So make sure that you understand that you talk to someone or talk to a few people, so you really understand the expectations that sit around hiring and firing VAs.
Yes. So it sounds like your personal time management, once you start to hire staff or VAs, you need to really be a lot more conscious about your personal time management, so that you're able to lead your team and ensure that you're providing enough guidance and work for them to be able to do what they need to do.
Yeah,
And no more winging it.
That's it. Can't wing it. And on the other hand, too, you have to also be very cognizant of the fact that don't overload them. Maybe one task is enough for the day. That one task, we might not realize how much coding or everything else goes on behind that, and how much time that takes. And that can take a couple of days. So a big thing I learned very quickly was to set a task and then say, how long do you think this might take you? And then they might say, this will definitely take 2 days. Say, righto, well, then I'll leave you be. Unless you have trouble, you contact me, and then we'll talk in 2-3 days' time. We'll have a face-to-face and move through those face-to-faces very quickly, the Zoom meetings.
Awesome. And lastly, impact on your business. You could be a solopreneur, just working in your office and madly running around doing things. But, there's obviously a reason for hiring a team. What's been the biggest impact on your business and your life by hiring a virtual team?
The biggest impact, positive impact, has been instant growth, literally instant growth. So, for example, before I went to Egypt, like it was just coming out of my ears across all my businesses, and because I have a few, and it was a buzz to me, because I work like that. I like that fast pace. And then, of course, it imploded because that person decided to go on holidays at the same time as me. So there's a second impact. Definitely a positive influence in terms of your profit line. And it feels good to be able to see something done, completed, and then you can grow yourself. So for me, I move really quickly. So I'm ahead of myself by quite a few projects. So, for example, when this young person I employed was doing so well, and I'd submitted this brilliant report, I had actually booked my next VA for January, because I anticipated what growth I would have, and I knew I'd need a second one. Well, I've just moved that person to March now, this morning. So the impact is really good. It's, if you get a good VA too, like anyone, whether they're remote or not, the peace of mind for you, you can go to sleep and you don't have to dream tech and all the things that could go wrong, etc., or annoying you on the text with a help urgent. I hate doing that. So it's peace of mind. What else I love, for me, I'm really creative, and therefore I can be as creative as I want at the pace I want. And I can really, get my wings out to fly. So there's all those benefits too. And I've found that I'm writing again now. I used to churn out lots of articles and everything had to stop because I was constantly picking up the pieces all the time. So lots of positives, yeah.
So you've got more time now to do the stuff that you love, the core stuff, the thing that you're good at, rather than all the peripheral stuff and the admin stuff that has to happen, but really isn't your core focus.
Absolutely, and it's acknowledging that it's not my, and I don't like it. I just don't like it, and I don't want to do that admin type stuff at all. And I want someone else to do it for me, and I want to do the speaking and the creating. So yes, it's allowing you to do that, and it's a lovely feeling when it's all the ducks are in a row and everything's going well.
So it sounds like you'd recommend it.
Oh, highly recommend a VA. And also the feeling when you book your second one, and now I'm coming into my third. So that's really good. But knowing that each one holds a different role, and they have to work at a team level. So I was just about to mix mine together. Fortunately, I didn't. But yes, I'll be mixing them together so that then we have a like a little bit of a boardroom too, so everyone can hear everything. And I think that could be a good thing. Mm.
Yes, yes. And look, we certainly operate like that. Everybody in our team knows what's going on, and we've got a common chat room, and then we've got projects that we manage through Slack, and yeah, it works really well. Good team culture.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to that. Hopefully next week we'll start that. So I am looking forward to that, doing that straight off the mark too. Yeah, having that team, and I'm just about to put on a lady here locally to come into my office on set days to do admin and finance for me, so I don't have to do that as well. So that will be a different dynamic.
Excellent. Oh well, look, I really appreciate your time today, Tracy. It's
Thanks, Nick.
I can extol the virtues of building a virtual team, and sort of people often look at what I've developed and see me out in the golf course, as you well know, and stuff does get done, and that's one of the real benefits of having a good, dedicated, skilled team that are really part of the business as opposed to just turning up to work every day. They're actually a part of the business, and they get stuff done. So I know that I've always got my phone with me, and if I get a text message from you, I can just jump onto Slack here and say, hey, can you just follow up this thing for Tracy, and they'll do that, and I'm carrying on with my round without missing a shot and not having to worry about it. So for me, that was one of my goals. Funny, if I'm not a golfer, but it was just one of my goals to take a day off so I could play golf. It could have been swimming, it could have been anything else, but just to do that. And with the team I've got, I can do that. I can take a day off or 2 days off, and the business still goes.
It's really important because I did the same thing before I signed on this agency. I made the decision. I'm part owner in a couple of race horses, and I'm a registered strapper. So I made the decision that I want to be back in the stables again, and I want to be mucking out, and I wanted to be at the race course, and I wanted to do that every week. And I had a set up structure. So I'm supposed to be racing right now today, but and it's really important because otherwise life gets you by. And when you're younger and you've got children, you don't want to miss out on that time. You want to have that time. You want to have that peace of mind and happiness that you can get with good VAs, and have that ability to disconnect, especially you, because I'm assuming you will work, you're on 24/7 anyway, which I am too. So I work a couple of businesses. So I'm usually tattooing on the weekends. So it's really important that you have that time out, literally disconnect.
Absolutely, and I think as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's easy to sort of work 24/7, and you can only do that for so long before you burn out or you die.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to die.
No, and you're right too. You will burn out. I mean, I've got incredible energy, and I'm burning out from this issue, and hopefully, I'm feeling the today, but I've still got to pick up pieces until the next one comes in, and then I know I've got a long period of time of training. But at least you can see ahead. But definitely, I was really keen to see if you were going to do the agency. But I love the fact that you're doing the training, and I look forward to interviewing you on my radio show to spread that out globally, because that is something that is much needed, very much needed.
Yeah, look, and I see so many people going to hire virtual assistants without doing a lot of the pre-work, so that they're prepared and their business is prepared to bring somebody into their business, and I think possibly it's because of cost, like it's just so comparatively inexpensive to hire overseas that it's easy to say, oh look, we can shell out sort of a couple of $100 or $400 a month, and then we'll find some things for them to do, and that's where things all just fall apart. I just see it all the time. But whereas if businesses and people take the time to get some systems in place, work out what their objectives are in the business, why they actually want a virtual assistant or develop a team, what's the big picture 12 months down the track there, what is your business going to look like, having made the decision to hire today. So it's not just a random thing that happens. It's an intentional process of building your business so that you've got some tangible results at the end of it. And whether it's just taking that day out to play golf, or to be involved in your race horses, have that sort of time there. I mean, they're the personal things there, which are business. You need to have those personal things because your business is there to serve you. It's not you serving the business 24/7. So it's about how do you create that lifestyle as well as grow a business that that possibly you can sell, or provides a lifestyle for yourself and your family.
I agree. I was speaking to a lady the other day and she said to me, I've had 5 VAs and none of them have worked. And I went, whoa, she needs to speak to Nick. But it's true. And I think like anything, as I said, I've led huge staff numbers, but remote VAs and plus that cultural difference adds a different aspect and makes it a little bit more difficult.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks very much, Tracy. That's been a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. I mean, it's just one thing to hear it from me, and another thing to hear it from someone like you that's in business and is growing and managing their business with virtual stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick, and all the best. Cheers.